if you don't understand propaganda, you're going to end up slowly poisoning yourself. So let me explain what I mean. Back in the, I believe it was the 1980s, the soybean industry basically did a hit on tropical oil. So what I'm talking about with tropical oil is it's like your coconut oil, your palm oil, that sort of thing. And they convinced the world that tropical oils were going to, they were going to kill you, they were going to cause problems, they were going to do all sorts of damage because they were a saturated fat. And what was the natural solution to that? The solution was all the soybean oils. So, if you go to, canola oil is a big one. All those sort of vegetable oils as such. Now, if you go to most restaurants today, they're cooking with a soybean oil. Likewise, if many people at home cook with this sort of oil, and in recent years it's come out, surprise, surprise, that that oils like coconut oil are incredible for you. They're actually, if you read any of Bruce Fife's work, coconut oil and coconut water and all of these tropical substances are incredible, and they've been used by the natives for hundreds of years, and they've been in great health as a result of that. So there's numerous studies. You just got to do the research and look into it. So this is really important to understand. Number one, for your health, but as a marketer, it's critical to understand propaganda, because how does propaganda work? That's why I often recommend reading books like Edward Bernays. He's written a whole book on propaganda that was written decades ago, because propaganda is incredibly effective. And if you use ethical propaganda within your marketing, it can also be very effective. It can be used for evil and it can be used for good. So if you think of how propaganda usually works, you get an authoritative source, you get the mainstream media to back it up, and all of a sudden people believe it, and until the truth comes out, which can take decades, that's the way it works. But in your business, for example, if you could build a relationship with an association who has a very high authority in the space, and then perhaps get to speak on their stage and that sort of thing, then all of a sudden, just the fact that you're on stage and they are endorsing you, then that means you have a certain level of authority. That's exactly the same way that propaganda works. We saw it in COVID, right? We had all of the health officials, we had the mainstream media, all backing COVID, and the whole world, every government somehow agreed with exactly the same thing, and the whole world started to believe in something that just several weeks before would have seemed absolutely preposterous. When they said that you couldn't sit down at or you could sit down and eat without a mask, but if you stood up, you had to have a mask on. I mean, it was just crazy. But that is the power of propaganda: is that people will actually believe it if it comes from an authoritative source. So if you're doing good work, use ethical. Think about how you can use ethical propaganda to really win over your clients, because that way they're going to be working with you, who's doing incredible work, rather than dealing with someone who perhaps isn't, giving them the same level of product or service.